Hello everyone, this is Quinn here from newbreedagent.com, and in this video I'm going to be doing an overview of week 1 of my program, New Breed Agent Academy. And I want to talk about these 4 main components within week 1 of the program. We do have about 6 modules in there, but I wanted to give you a general idea of the problems that we're solving within this week, how they may be showing up within your real estate business, and maybe just provide some insight into how to view your real estate business in this new world. So let's get started with this first module. This is actually a module within the program, and it's called The Future of Real Estate. And I was creating this module and this entire program, during the midst of the coronavirus and just the beginning of that, onset of the coronavirus. And so this module was actually perfectly timed with just what was going on. And so when it comes to the future of real estate, really the focus in this module is around economic paradigm shifts. And this is taken from a movie called The Third Industrial Revolution. And ultimately, it just provides some insight when it comes to how the economy has shifted in the past and what 3 technologies converge to actually create these economic shifts. And so what I do in this module is I share with you how this applies specifically to real estate. There's a lot of content out there on the internet, there's a lot of content on YouTube, and you can find a lot of information in today's world. But when it comes to this week and this entire program, I synthesize all of these different bodies of work and I apply it specifically to real estate. So I give you a high-level bird's eye view, but then I also take you through every stroke of the mouse and how do you actually apply this, right? So in this video, I'm not going to be showing you specifically how to implement this stuff, but I am going to share with you what this looks like. So when it comes to these 3 technologies converging to create the economic paradigm shift that I mentioned, it comes down to these 3 components. So communication, energy, and transportation. And so I'm going to share with you how this applies specifically to your real estate business. So think of communication, right? Think of what communication was just 5-10 years ago, right? And you could almost imagine that communication is a form of information, right? Right now I'm communicating to you. And my ability to communicate with you and the ease in which I have the ability to communicate with you, that barrier of entry is quite low, right? And so I don't have to, if you could be anywhere in the world and watch this video, right? So we can see how communication has changed in the world. And it's changed when it comes to prospects and when it comes to your clients, right? So whereas before, seeing what properties were on the market and seeing, what price somebody was selling a home, or what price somebody is selling a home for was, people used to have to go and get this MLS book. I have friends in the real estate industry that remember that time when you actually had an MLS book and that was the list of properties, right? And so you can imagine how much slower communication was then, right? And how much faster it is now. I mean, now you can pull out your phone, you can pull out, the App Store or Google Play Store and download there's no shortage of communication and messenger apps on either of these devices. And so what this means is that really, in general, information is becoming more and more accessible, right? Because communication is a form of direct contact with you and, other individuals or a group. But your website is communication, right? This video is communication. Advertisements are communication. Email blasts, text message blasts, videos, right? All of these things are now, especially after what's gone on, these things are more and more prominent in today's world. And so what I talk about in this week, and I'm obviously not going to just give away the whole program here, but is how to engineer and how to design and think about the way you communicate in your business and what that looks like from, a client attraction standpoint, what that looks like from a client conversion standpoint. How do you be more efficient with your communication? not only from the methodologies to use, but also just how you know, instead of an example, a practical example of this is, you know, maybe a client has a question, right? And so maybe, you know, you've been conditioned to just like answer that question. You know, maybe you call them up and, you know, you answer the question and you go on your way. But, you know, what if you created a video for that and you could use that video for other clients in the future, right? So these are the ways that I want and am teaching real estate agents to think about so that they can really innovate and be as efficient as possible. So that's communication. So let's talk about energy, right? Let's talk about, you know, new forms of energy and how things are actually being applied in this world. So we're obviously, you know, moving towards solar, we're moving towards electric cars and all these different things. If you haven't seen that in 2035, they're actually banning the, you know, purchase of gas cars, you know, from that point on. And who knows, maybe it comes earlier, maybe it comes later. But the point here when it comes to energy, the way that I would want to apply this is that, you know, we have the ability to communicate with other individuals, with potential clients, with future clients, just by leveraging the energy that we have. And when it comes to energy, you know, and how to apply this specifically, I was just talking to my cousin about this as we're filming it. You know, we have a light here, we have our camera, we have this board, and we have the internet, and basically, you know, we can reach one person or we could reach 1 million people, right? Or 1 billion people. And so I want and believe that it's essential for real estate agents to begin to think this way, that, you know, now you have the ability to leverage digital energy, you know, and you don't need these big, you know, buildings and offices and this huge overhead to feel like you have to take care of because, you know, as I mentioned, I mean, you could reach everybody in a city with a video or you could door knock, right? And this kind of brings in the topic of asymmetry. But when it comes to energy, you know, and how we utilize it, specifically in the movie, it's more related to like, you know, digital renewable internet and the Internet of Things. But to apply it and ground it more in today, it really, for me, in the way that real estate agents should view it, is what I mentioned. So if you have a computer, right, if you have the internet, if you have a phone, you know, you need to think about how you can communicate more effectively with new people. And basically what I want to call it is like, how do you scale trust? How do you scale trust? How do you build relationships, you know, virtually? And how do you attract more new people? And how do you leverage, ultimately, all of your resources, right? Leverage your testimonials, leverage, I mean, basically you could use everything as leverage, right, if you do it right. So in the movie, it's more about, you know, these other things I'm mentioning, but ultimately I want us to think about it this way. So transportation. So here is where we get into, you know, autonomous self-driving cars, you know, cross-communicating with each other, and basically, you know, eliminating the need for people to even drive cars in the future at some point, right? And this is already real. Look at Tesla, look at autopilot, self-driving capability. These things already happen, right? So really the way I want you to think about this as well is like, think about what is truly valuable in your real estate business. Because, you know, when it comes to, you know, that, I mean, you could literally, you know, Tesla or Uber or any one of these services can basically, you know, chauffeur somebody to go view a house, right? I mean, so some of these things, I know they're not there yet, but really the way my angle on this is to think about what is truly valuable in your real estate business, and how do you, you know, and what's going to stay valuable for a long period of time. Because when it comes to stuff like this, I mean, people are going to be able to hop in a car that drives them wherever they want to go, and they could use an Uber and do these different things. And like I said, in the program, I expand more on you know, how to apply this specifically. But when it comes to transportation, you know, think about it. Think about, you know, how you're virtually transported into this video, right? Think about how you can leverage Zoom. Think about how you can leverage Facebook Live, right? Because what's better than efficient transportation, what could be better than efficient transportation more than eliminating it? Like, what if you don't even have to go anywhere, right? What if you could design your entire real estate business where you don't even have to leave the house? Now, like I said, all of these videos I'm sharing, you have to feel into what's right for you and how you want to apply this specifically to your business. But, like I said, what's more efficient than me driving and presenting this, even if I have this autopilot driving car and it takes me wherever I want to go? What if, I didn't even have to leave? What if I could stream this, right? And think about that in your business. Well, what if I could show clients these homes virtually, right? What if I could show them 3D tours and there's all these different possibilities that are emerging and have emerged because of the coronavirus, right? So this is why we have to engineer and design our business to really fit within this new paradigm, because you can't take the old methodology of doing things and expect to continue to be able to do that as the marketplace continues to shift, right? So that's kind of just a brief intro on the future of real estate and how to go about thinking about it. The next thing is the new breed niche selection. So I want to start with 3 brands here. One is called Aura, one is called Brain FM, and one is called Viome. And really what I've done here is just kind of taken examples of what I mean when it comes to niche selection in other industries other than real estate, right? And so here I have this little Aura ring. It tracks my sleep. Brain FM is a service software that I use for studying and focus music. And Viome is basically a gut intelligence test. Now, why is this relevant to you and why should you even think about it? Well, really, it's because the evolution of real estate is going to come down to real estate entrepreneurs that actually find who they're supposed to be working with, Because right now, the current model teaches, well, find everybody you can, try to get as many people as possible, and not really refine who you help and who you serve. And so in this module, I talk about different organizations, different companies, and different entrepreneurs that have really become, hyper focused, right? They've really nailed down who they're looking to serve, right? They've become hyper focused. They've stuck and committed to a niche, right? And so you'll even see this on Instagram with, people, they're called like micro influencers. And so what you'll find basically the common theme is that, you could, if you have a team, if you have a brokerage and you've got hundreds of agents, you want to get as big of a market share as possible, but there's a revolution that's at play, and agents that are, learning how to use the technology, learning how to be more efficient, learning how to do things that these big, clunky corporations and brokerages can't do because they're too corporate-y, these people have a huge opportunity for market share. And what this means when I say Aura and Brain FM and Viome, well, there wasn't a market for stuff like this before, or there was, but it was generalized into just maybe like health, right? So at one point it was kind of just health and, people would dominate that space. But now you have like a super segmented space in the marketplace for like sleep. Aura has carved out an entire place within the health and fitness market. And now we've got Apple Watch that tracks your sleep. Now you've got the thing called the Whoop. You got the Fitbit, right? And there's all these different things that have now been created as a result of this hyper segmentation and hyper niche selection. So if you've been in real estate for 20 years, 30 years, and you don't really know who you're serving, it's going to be interesting to see, because there are going to be new entrepreneurs that have this way of going about who they serve. They can design their processes and their systems and their content around it. Because if you, and I'm going to touch on this over here, which is why week 1 is so critical, is that, if you don't understand this component and you don't know how to apply it, and you just have, I help buyers and sellers, And how do you design and build and engineer a fluid system in the new world when it comes to like streamlining processes, creating content, getting new business, creating videos, if you don't really know who you're after, right? Because the game now is not trying to get everybody. We're seeing this, right? And so when it comes to selecting your niche, you really want to go through a process of actually identifying who that ideal client is and designing everything really around that. And once you do that, now we want to stick and define that service offering. So this should be a standardized service offering, right? And how can you be fluid in the way that you get clients, convert them, and provide services for them if what you provide as a service is not standardized, right? Well, maybe I help buyers in this area, and then I help buyers in that area, and then I go and I do a seller over here. Maybe I do a mobile home. Maybe I do an investor, right? So we kind of have been conditioned to believe that like everybody's kind of the same, and if they're ready to buy or sell, like I'll take them. And maybe depending on the stage you're in your business, those things may be essential. But over time, you want to start defining that, because what's going to happen when all these companies emerge and these little hyper niche type companies and internet companies that see that, wow, all these realtors are super general, super blanketed in their approach. We can carve out a company for recently married couples, right, that want to buy their first home. Somebody could build an entire company just around that, have a super clean home buying process, automate the entire process online, and make it one click of a button, right? So when it comes to at least getting towards that stage, right, because it's not there yet, I mean, at least for a traditional agent, we want to at least start with this, right? How do I think about the new world? How do I think about my business? How do I carve out my space in the marketplace? And then how do I design something that's standardized around that first-time home buyer, around that seller in zip code 12345, right? How do you really, really get specific about who you're looking for so that you can design the site around it, right? Because if you look at Aura, Brain FM, Viome, and all these other companies, consumers and the next generation, they don't want like some blanketed thing. Like they know, because of the content they consume, the influencers they watch, the YouTubers they watch, like, oh, if I want to watch, you can literally find people that just play one video game and that's all they do. I mean, you can find people that do food eating videos, right? So YouTube content, the internet opened up this entire wave of opportunity. And so for you as an agent, if you just say, oh, I'm buyers and sellers and in California, well, that sounds like everybody else, right? But if you say, well, I help recently married couples buy their first home, my company is called XYZ, right? And it looks that way. You've got photos, you've got marketing, all these things support that vision and that niche. That's going to allow you to stand out, and you're not going to worry about a big 100-pound, 1,000-pound gorilla like Zillow, right? So you got to define this, but there's a progression, right? Then last component is crystallizing your message. You're not looking for everybody. You're looking for that small sliver. You're looking for that 5%. You're looking for those people that are going to resonate with you. And if you don't do this, how do you identify the problems that they have? How do you know the nuances? How do you know the specific contracts or legal things that may show up in specific scenarios, right? And if you do, but you haven't just stuck to that, well, you're not going to be able to create something fluid, right? So the idea here is that you need to be able to communicate that message, right? You have to communicate that message where it's laser sharp. So it's just like, wow, that's exactly what I'm looking for, right? If you go check out these sites, go check out Aura, go check out Brain FM. I mean, Brain FM isn't Spotify. Brain FM isn't Apple Music, right? Brain FM isn't Pandora, so they don't have the Spotify market share, right? But if you get these customers together, I bet you'll find an enormous amount of similarities, right? And really this type of a company, Brain FM, really, it caters to a specific person, right? When I think of Spotify, I just think of all the music out there, right? I don't look at Spotify or Apple Music and say, I want study music. I know that they have it, right? But you'd be so surprised if you check out that site to see how defined and how they've really crystallized that, right? So same thing goes for you in your real estate business. If you help home buyers and home sellers all across California, that's going to work, and that's fine for now. And I think, there's still time before all this stuff takes shape. But the goal that I'm trying to, the goal that I have with this program is that some of this stuff won't make sense now, right? But in a year, in 2 years, it makes sense, right? Just like this virus, right? To be on Zoom, to do all these things, they made no sense. Now everybody's on Zoom, even older people figured out how to use Zoom and work from home. So some of this to you may be like, I don't need to do that. But you're going to see when these little companies come out and they run on tech. Real estate is going to get disrupted by people that run on tech. And when they run on tech and they know, I'm looking for first-time home buyers, forget the rest, boom, automated application, one click, Apple Pay, deposit, boom, pre-approval, underwriter, automatic, streamline, I'm ready to go in an email and buy online. That's what's going to start to happen. So you as the agent, you as the owner, you as the visionary have to start designing and bringing that vision down into the business now, so that you don't have to worry about, man, this big 1,000-pound gorilla is taking all the market share. Well, they're not going to take, like I said, you're going to see the Brain FM of real estate. You're going to see that little sliver, and they're already out there, right? There's one, there's multiple. There's one called Home Shake. I've got a bunch of them saved on my computer. I could think of Home Shake right now. But they're in, I believe, they're over, I don't know if it's Alabama, but they're hyper-focused, hyper-centralized. And what do? If it's not this one, let me rattle these off. Rent.ly. What's the other ones? But so I'll talk about these while the other ones come through. So Home Shake, what's cool about them is they're actually Zumper. What's cool about Home Shake is that these companies or what they do is they actually get the home owner and the potential home buyer just in a direct conversation. So it's just like a messaging portal where you sign up, you list your house, and think about this, guys. I mean, can you take listing photos on your iPhone? They're not going to be like the ones that you do professionally, but you got to think that if you can do iPhone photos, you can do iPhone Matterport, right? And even if you ask my cousin Jake too, this stuff, yes, there's value in it, but there's it can be pretty standardized, right? So what that means is that like skills that were at once, and I've had to look at that for me from my perspective, skills that were once like super valuable, like making a funnel. Well, now you can share funnels with a link, and hooking softwares up and stuff that I used to be like, wow, I can do that. They've been just eliminated, right? So when it comes to you being an agent and what you do in your contracts, I mean, there's technology that's like running variables, running conditions, creating workflows, and just shooting it out. And so check these out. I'll, see if I can remember more, put a list, but there's a ton of them. Home Shake, Rent.ly, Zillow Instant Offers, Easy Home Buyer. What's the other one I saw today? I can't even remember. But go look at these and see how they're just making it so easy for someone to say, I want to list my home. Let me go outside. I take photos, and now my house is on the internet with other buyers pre-approved, ready to go. So it's just something to think about and start applying, because I'm on your side. I'm not, this isn't what I'm doing, right? I'm trying to get you guys to start creating this stuff so that you have some sort of sliver. And, I still believe it's not going to get fully knocked out if you do these things right. But if you don't, you're going to be questioning, how are you going to be able to operate doing things manually when these other companies are just click of a button, right? Loan Depot, they're getting pre-approvals with the loan button, right? So with that being said, that is a summary and overview of week 1. That's just a bite-sized sample of what we include, within the program, the entire program. There's worksheets, there's cheat sheets. You can download the audio. We're partnered with Kajabi, so you have a mobile app. I give you the PDFs, whatever it is that supports each of these modules, I give it to you, right? So if you want to do this well, you can't just know, oh, well, I should crystallize my message. How do you write? How do you craft the message? How do you design this? How do you apply it to your website? How do you apply it to your funnels? How do you apply it to your entire business, right? So you got to have more than just the understanding. Knowledge is good, but you got to apply it. So that is a summary of week 1. That's the foundation, New Breed Agent Academy 2.0. I hope this has found you well. If you are watching this from an ad and there's a button below, click the button below if you're interested. And if you're watching this on my organic page, or I sent this to you personally, feel free to respond back, or create a comment and just let me know what your thoughts were. I hope it found you well, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.